Maverick 100.9 Aggie Lands Country Alternative. It's Corliss. And I got this little email in my inbox from Sarah Johnson. And I was like, I ain't talked to her in forever. Hello. So good to see you again.
Oh, it's so good to be with you. I love our time together. So thank you for having me.
I do too. And honestly, I feel bad that it's taken this long for us to catch up again because I loved chatting with you the last time. I loved your music. I have been following you though. So
Oh,
I'm
well, it's
always
about time I release new music too. So you're my
right.
first email when I do.
I'm going to like wave my finger at you. And we do have a lot of new music to talk about, but it's super funny. I just found out something that we kind of have in common. So you're in Montana right now visiting your grandma. So you grew up in Texas, but you've actually spent a lot of time up there.
Yes, it's my happy place. So we are in northern Montana in the Whitefish area, and every summer of my life was here. So it's a really special place.
So I'm from Kansas and my grandmother lived in San Antonio. And I thought San Antonio was the coolest place in the world. I was like, man, when I grow up, I'm going to live in Texas. Hot damn, I did it. I didn't end up
Yeah,
in San Antonio, but I did it.
you got close. You got close.
Close enough. I visit all the time. But I just thought that was funny how a lot of us out here, especially the transplants, we all have different homes.
Yes.
But on the mine's not as nice as Montana. I went back to Kansas a couple weeks ago, and from the moment I landed, all I wanted was to get back home to Texas. I got caught in tornadoes, 85
Oh no.
mile per hour winds in a camper. I mean, it was just miserable. It was
Oh
awful.
no. Yeah, sometimes it's just nice to like keep the romanticized memories like locked away.
Yeah, it's like everybody I love is here, but like, no, I'm Texas
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you in Texas.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Well, the first release now out to us in what, a year? Is that right?
It's been about a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one is called Looking for Someone. Tell me a little bit about that.
I realized this was a couple years ago that, whoever you meet when you're out and about at a bar could either be like the love of your life, or it could be a fun drink, or it could be a really bad experience. You never know. But when you first meet them, that like first, good impression, whatever it is, you have that question in your mind, like, are you the person I've been looking for? Are you the one I've been waiting for? And not to sound like the crazy girl, but everyone kind of has that question of like, what is this going to be? And so I had met this like very, very handsome songwriter in Nashville, and that I literally like went to bed that night, and my head was on my pillow, and I was like, that line just kind of came to my head, and then the song emerged. But it's turned into a really fun one, so I'm excited about it.
Wait, has it turned into a really fun song or are you in like a really fun relationship now?
Oh, it just turned into a fun song.
Okay, that's all right. I'll take all the
Fun
fun
song.
songs.
We kept in touch. We kept in touch a little bit, but life
Wasn't the
moves on.
one.
Yeah, yeah, wasn't the one. He wasn't the one I was looking for, but maybe he was the one I was looking for that night. Who knows?
I did meet my husband in a bar. I was the
Love
DJ in
it.
a military town, so I thought I was just asking a handsome soldier to dance that I would never see again. And the reason why I never wanted to see him again was the night before I was working at the bar that evening, I filed for divorce.
Well, that was a really great turnaround. You wasted no time.
I didn't mean to.
I love that though. That's
So
kind
yeah,
of
we've
nice.
been together 8.5 years since.
Oh, congratulations. Well, that worked out well. I know before I sing that song, I always ask, like, okay, be honest, who all met in a bar? And
Yeah,
it's so funny because some people like have like this sheepish, like, but like, how else are you supposed to meet people? Like,
I agree.
it
I
happens in a
agree.
bar all the time. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, I love your story.
Or in our like industry, the only people we actually meet are fans or other musicians. Okay, do
Yeah.
you want to date a fan or do you want to date a musician? I personally, I don't know, I can't
Neither
say
has gone
no,
well
but
for me.
Adam was a fan. He was
Oh,
a fan.
well, how could you not be? I mean, this like beautiful DJ up there. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
he's cheesy. I love him.
Oh, eight
Well,
years later.
you're 8 years later, but I do hope you find your someone, but I don't care where it's at, but it is a good thought that you brought up in this song. Are you
Well, thank
always
you.
looking? Are you?
Yeah.
Are you
Well,
making?
and also like what are you looking for? Sometimes
Yeah.
you are looking for like I need a fun night. And I don't mean that in like a promiscuous way. Like sometimes you just like want to have a drink and a fun conversation. Sometimes you just want to like have a dance. Sometimes you are going out being like I would love to be in a relationship. So it's like you can take that question in many different ways.
All right. Sarah Johnson is making y'all think today, but you're doing it in the funnest way possible. And that's with some dang country music, right?
I love it. That's the only way I know how.
We're going to debut it for you now on Maverick 100.9. Then we'll be back with Sarah Johnson. But for the first time, it's Looking for Someone. Due to copyright, Brian Broadcasting is not licensed to air this single for you in podcast form, but you can now find it anywhere that you stream and download music. And today's interview continues now. Maverick 100.9. You just heard it here first. That was the latest from Sarah Johnson, Looking for Someone. And it's been a minute since we caught up with Sarah. But did you go and release a whole new album on me as well?
No, and girl, you would know. You would know.
Okay.
So don't worry. I am building up to an album release. So this is the first single, and then we're going to come out with a couple more singles throughout the fall. And then I'm doing all of this plotting now. So, the behind the scenes is, yeah, like the whiteboard is out and the post-its of, timelines are on the whiteboard, but I'm looking at hopefully a February or just early 2024 release of the album.
Well, I'm looking for that as well, because then that means you and I will be catching up.
Well, I need to just come to you. I'm going to come to the studio. That's what we're going to do for an album release.
I think we've become too good of friends now to keep doing this over Zoom.
I agree. We got to do this. And then we got to have like a margarita in our hand or something.
You betcha. Now, I do have a little bit of question on that process, though, since, it has been a year since your last kind of official release, and now you do have a lot in the bank and you're ready to start getting stuff out. When was all of it written? What was the process? When were you like, okay, it is actually time? Was there a specific idea that led you there?
Yeah. You know what? I've had a very interesting journey in my music. And to try to make a very long story short, I started really pursuing and wanting to be an Americana artist in like 2019. So a lot of these songs were really like kind of like the teens of the 2000s, or when I started writing all of these songs. And then in like 2018, 19, I did a house concert because my friends were like, Sarah, we know you have all of this material, like share it with us, do this. And so I did this in like 2019, got such a great response that I was really, really encouraged to start pursuing music. Then I like semi moved to Nashville to look for a producer in 2019, found my dream producer of all places back in Dallas, Texas, where I had just moved from. So I like talked to Bo Bedford. It was Bo Bedford of Modern Electric. He was with the Texas Gentlemen and like that crew. So
I'm a producer nerd, so I have to
ask. Yes. Oh, he's amazing. So I went in the studio. I like basically was on the phone with him and I was like, I'm coming. I'll be right there. And I like moved back to Dallas to work with him. So then Corliss, the crazy thing is my first EP that I was ever going to release in this Americana genre was going to have a release party, I swear to you, on like March 16th, 2020. I am not kidding you.
Of a gun.
So I had all of these like dreams and aspirations that were finally going to happen. And then, rumblings of this. And I remember calling like the venue and I was like, we'll just put hand sanitizer out. Like, it's fine. And then, just total denial. And then we basically like had to shelve the party and the release 2 weeks / like 2 years. But it's actually kind of been a blessing because I feel like in all of that time, I was able to, as much as I could during COVID, but once the world started opening up, I had no idea anything about the music industry, anything about release strategy. I had not really done a ton of gigs. Like I went like full, like blown, like amazing recordings before I had ever done a lot of stuff. And so it kind of
Which
gave
is
me time
odd.
to like
That's different.
work. I know. I'm like, I don't understand my own journey, but here we are. So so then I start, but I'm writing and writing and writing a ton more. So by now, let's fast forward to, 2022, and I have all of these songs. And I was like, okay, I have the backlogs of stuff that like COVID trumped a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's 6 songs here. I have a ton of more material. Why don't I just go in with the same musicians, like same sound, and finish an album? Now that I know a little bit more of what to do and see the value of an album and want to do that. So what I went with, I talked to Bo. He was like up to his ears in projects. He's doing so well and I'm so proud of him, but he just couldn't take on another 6-song project. So Charlie Wiles, who plays guitar for Paul Cawthon and has his own producing career, which is amazing. He was the studio musician for the first recordings. So I went to him and I was like, hey, could we finish the album and like you take your style, like not to hamper your creativity, but I'm trying to make a cohesive project here. So can we go in, finish the album, use the same musicians, essentially, kind of like have a cohesive sound? And he was like, yes, let's do it. So we went back and I was in Echo Lab in early or late 22, and we finished 6 more songs. So I am sitting on 12 songs from like a 6-year period of time, which is so wild.
You were still able to come up with that sound that you had originally planned on in the beginning?
Well, I just loved, like, I loved what Bo did. And our studio musicians were Bo, Charlie, Parker Toomey, who's amazing. And then we had like the drummer and the bass from the Texas Gents, and then one other guy. And so we went back in the studio with Charlie leading the ship, who really like has a lot of creative direction in the first recordings anyway. Parker Toomey on keys, and he has a very unique sound. So between the two of them, and like Charlie was Bo's apprentice for a few years, or like learned, and Parker, like both of them like learned everything about recording from what I know from my interpretation of the story, just learned a ton from Bo. So I knew I was in like good hands. And we talked a lot because I was like, I don't want to hamper your creativity, but I do want this to sound cohesive. And he totally took that. And I think it was able to like put his thumbprint on it, which is important to me, and also like create a cohesive sound because he just gets that. He got what we were doing at first and then got what we were doing again. So it just like was seamlessly wonderful. So that's the crazy story of this album.
I have to commend you for sticking to it that way. Do you know how many artists I talked to that said, oh, I tried doing this in 2020 and it just flopped, so I just moved on. And you are the polar opposite. You're like, no, I committed to this project. I loved my work and I worked very hard on it. So not only is it gonna see the light of day, but I'm gonna up the ante like a part A, part B. And I don't know if anybody has told you that, wow, you just did a huge thing, but Sarah, you did a huge thing.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I mean, people call me really persistent, and sometimes it's nice to like,
I think maybe I'm idolizing you. I tend to take direction almost too easily, and I'm way too like people will walk all over me basically. And I doubt myself a lot. I know I seem like the most confident person in the world, but I'm probably the polar opposite. And so now I'm looking at you and I'm like, dang it, I need to just bullhead my way through life, man. You know who you are. It's my favorite Dolly Parton quote. I'm going to do it. I love when I get to use this. Figure out who you are and do it on purpose.
Oh, I so appreciate you saying that. Well, and I think that like, I mean, to be honest, Corliss, and I'm so happy to share this with like anyone hearing, is like I spent a lot of time not like this, or just not doing things with like confidence and security, or like using all of my gifts and talents to support other people's dreams. And I think when I finally like realized that this is what I want to do, I felt just like, and then my song Volcano, which is out now, is like about me like kind of suppressing a lot. And then when you finally do it, you kind of erupt like a volcano. And
Yes.
I think the only way that I knew how was to like completely hit the ground running, like go for it, like, just go with confidence and, just not be perfectionistic. But, I live on both sides of the spectrum. There are things that people don't see where I'm like totally overanalyzing myself, or, going home and like, putting my head on the pillow and being like, oh, I just said that. Or,
Yes.
everyone deals with that
Oh,
for
the
sure.
anxiety.
So, there's a real side of all of this where I can seem very, very confident, like I know what I'm doing, and at the same time have no idea and be, wallowing in a lot of self-doubt in those alone moments. So, just to make you feel a little bit better, I
I'm
am
totally
in the
with
same boat
that.
with
I
you.
can vibe with that. I can
Yeah.
vibe with. Well,
Yeah.
I still want to commend you for your hard work. You're
Thank
extraordinary.
you.
Y'all, once again, if you take anything from Sarah Johnson today, whether it was her brand new single, Looking for Someone, or if you want to go back and listen to her previous releases, you are going to find a whole lot of inspiration, but in such a fun way. And
Aw.
that's just really cool and super unique. So I'm doting on you a little bit, but I love you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love you. I mean, can I just come on when I'm having those like moments of insecurity and be like,
Yeah,
Corliss, Corliss.
we need to cry together.
Yeah, I need a moment. I need a moment.
We're going to schedule that in. And in the
Yeah.
meantime,
Yeah.
everybody else needs to be watching Sarah Johnson. I said her name again, Sarah Johnson
Oh,
Music on Instagram. Find her social media pages, her website, find her tour, her music, and, keep listening here because we're going to keep checking in as well. But Sarah, thank
oh,
you so much for releasing this beautiful new single to Maverick.
thank you. And Corliss, I'm going to say one thing is that part of the reason why I have enjoyed music so much and kind of I get these boosts of confidence is people and radio stations like Maverick that support up and coming artists, that support independent artists, that give me time to share my story. So thank you. You're a big part of the story too. So thank you.
No, thank you, my love.